For centuries, the vast expanse of Latin America lay under the dominion of European powers. Spain, with its insatiable appetite for gold and silver, carved out a massive empire, stretching from Mexico and the Caribbean to the southern tip of South America. Portugal, not to be outdone, claimed Brazil as its prize. This colonial order was built on exploitation. Indigenous populations, decimated by disease and forced labor, toiled in mines and on plantations, enriching the coffers of distant kings. The Spanish crown, enforcing its authority through a complex system of viceroyalties, maintained a tight grip on its colonies. At the apex of this social pyramid stood the peninsulares, Spanish-born elites who held the reins of power. Below them were the Creoles, people of Spanish descent born in the Americas. Although often wealthy and educated, Creoles chafed under the restrictions imposed upon them by the distant Spanish crown. They yearned for a greater say in their own affairs. As the 18th century drew to a close, the seeds of discontent were sown. The American and French revolutions, with their intoxicating ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, sent shockwaves across the Atlantic, igniting the aspirations of those who had long endured oppression. The Enlightenment, sweeping through Europe with its emphasis on reason and individual rights, had a profound impact on the Creole elite in Latin America. Books, pamphlets, and clandestine gatherings spread the revolutionary ideas of Locke, Rousseau, and Montesquieu, fueling the growing desire for self-determination. The American Revolution, a beacon of hope for those yearning for freedom, provided a compelling example of a successful rebellion against colonial rule. The newly formed United States, a testament to the power of unity and self-governance, inspired revolutionaries across Latin America. Then came the French Revolution, shaking the foundations of the old order. The storming of the Bastille, a symbol of royal tyranny, resonated deeply with those who had long chafed under Spanish oppression. Although Napoleon's subsequent rise to power and the chaos that engulfed Europe created a complex geopolitical landscape, the revolution's message of liberty continued to reverberate across the Atlantic. These external forces, coupled with growing internal discontent, created a tinderbox in Latin America, ripe for the spark of revolution. The Creoles, increasingly aware of their own strength and yearning for autonomy, watched and waited for the opportune moment to seize control of their own destiny. The year 1808 proved to be a turning point. Napoleon's invasion of Spain and the subsequent abdication of King Ferdinand VII sent shockwaves through the Spanish Empire. With the Spanish monarchy in disarray, the colonies were thrown into a state of uncertainty. Seizing this opportunity, Creole elites across Latin America formed juntas, local governing councils that declared their autonomy from the deposed king. While initially professing loyalty to Ferdinand, these juntas became hotbeds of revolutionary fervor, challenging the legitimacy of Spanish rule. The formation of these juntas marked the beginning of the long and bloody struggle for independence in Latin America. From the bustling streets of Buenos Aires to the silver mines of Mexico, the flames of rebellion began to spread, fueled by a potent mix of Enlightenment ideals, economic grievances, and the desire for self-determination. The Spanish crown, weakened by war in Europe and facing a growing crisis of legitimacy, struggled to maintain control over its vast empire. However, the fight for independence would be far from easy. Years of brutal conflict lay ahead, pitting neighbor against neighbor, father against son, as the battle for the soul of Latin America raged on. In Mexico, the struggle for independence ignited with the fiery pronouncements of Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, a parish priest in the town of Dolores. On September 16, 1810, Hidalgo issued his famous Grito de Dolores, Cry of Dolores, a call to arms that resonated with the grievances of the oppressed masses. Hidalgo's grito, a potent mix of religious fervor and revolutionary zeal, denounced Spanish tyranny, demanded social justice, and urged Mexicans to fight for their freedom. His message struck a chord with the indigenous population and the mestizos, people of mixed Spanish and indigenous ancestry, who had long suffered under the weight of colonial oppression. Thousands flocked to Hidalgo's banner, forming a ragtag army that swept through central Mexico, capturing key cities and challenging the authority of the Spanish viceroy. However, Hidalgo's movement, lacking military discipline and a cohesive strategy, faced fierce resistance from royalist forces. Despite early victories, the tide turned against Hidalgo. He was captured and executed in 1811, his movement seemingly crushed. However, the flames of rebellion, once ignited, proved difficult to extinguish. Hidalgo's legacy lived on, inspiring others to continue the fight for Mexican independence. Section 5. Bolivar, the Liberator's Dream of Unity. In the northern reaches of South America, a young Creole aristocrat named Simón Bolívar emerged as a leading figure in the independence struggle. Inspired by the ideals of the Enlightenment and driven by a profound belief in the destiny of the Americas, Bolívar dedicated his life to liberating his homeland from Spanish rule. Bolívar, a brilliant military strategist and charismatic leader, assembled an army that fought its way through Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador, winning decisive victories against Spanish forces. His campaigns were marked by daring maneuvers, fierce battles, and unwavering determination. He envisioned a united South America, a Gran Colombia, free from the shackles of colonialism and capable of taking its rightful place on the world stage. Bolívar's vision, captured in his eloquent speeches and writings, inspired generations of Latin American revolutionaries and continues to resonate today. However, Bolívar's dream of a unified continent faced formidable obstacles. Internal divisions, regional rivalries, and the ambitions of caudillos, powerful military strongmen, undermined his efforts to forge a lasting union. Section 6. San Martin breaking chains in the South. While Bolívar waged his campaigns in the north, another great liberator, José de San Martin, fought for the cause of independence in the southern cone of South America. San Martin, an Argentine general known for his strategic brilliance and unwavering commitment to the cause, played a pivotal role in liberating Argentina, Chile, and Peru. Recognizing the strategic importance of the Andes Mountains, San Martin devised a daring plan to cross the towering peaks and liberate Chile from Spanish control. In 1817, he led his army on a grueling journey across the Andes, enduring treacherous conditions and fierce resistance from royalist forces. The Army of the Andes, as San Martin's force was known, emerged from the mountains, exhausted but triumphant. Their victory at the Battle of Chacabuco in 1817 marked a turning point in the war for Chilean independence. San Martin's subsequent campaigns, culminating in the liberation of Peru, secured his place in the pantheon of Latin American heroes. San Martin's legacy, like Bolívar's, extends far beyond his military exploits. He is remembered as a symbol of unity, selflessness, and unwavering dedication to the cause of liberty. His contributions to the independence of South America cemented his place as one of the most revered figures in Latin American history. Section 7. A tapestry of freedom independence across Latin America. The movements led by Bolívar, San Martin, and Hidalgo ignited a continental struggle. Each region had its own leaders, battles, and triumphs. In the South American nation that would become Uruguay, José Gervasio Artigas spearheaded the resistance against both Spanish rule and Argentine ambitions, embodying the complexities of the fight for self-determination. In Central America, independence came with less bloodshed, but no less significance. As the Spanish Empire crumbled, the region declared its independence in 1821, later forming the Federal Republic of Central America. By the end of the 1820s, most of Latin America, from the Rio Grande to the southern tip of South America, had thrown off the shackles of Spanish and Portuguese rule. The dream of freedom, nurtured in the hearts of revolutionaries, had become a reality. However, the newly independent nations faced a daunting task. Years of colonial rule had left a legacy of economic inequality, social divisions, and political instability. The challenges of nation building, of forging a new identity and establishing stable governments lay ahead. Section 8. The Price of Liberty. Challenges of Nation Building. The euphoria of independence soon gave way to the harsh realities of forging new nations. Decades of war had devastated economies, fractured societies, and left a void in leadership. The struggle for power between centralists, who favored strong national governments, and federalists, who advocated for greater regional autonomy, fueled political instability. The legacies of colonialism, including economic dependence on raw material exports, unequal land distribution, and the marginalization of indigenous populations, cast long shadows over the newly independent nations. The ideals of equality and justice, so powerfully articulated during the independence struggles, proved elusive in the face of entrenched power structures and social hierarchies. Furthermore, external powers, eager to exploit the region's resources and exert their influence, posed challenges to the sovereignty of the fledgling nations. The United States, newly ascendant and driven by its own expansionist ambitions, cast a long shadow over Latin America, intervening in its affairs and shaping its destiny. Despite these challenges, the spirit of independence, the yearning for self-determination, remained strong. Latin American nations embarked on the arduous task of nation-building, grappling with the legacies of the past while striving to create a better future for their people. Section 9. Conclusion: Echoes of the Past, Shaping the Future. The Latin American independence movements of the early 19th century were a watershed moment in world history. They marked the end of an era, the twilight of European colonialism in the Americas, and the birth of a new order, one in which Latin American nations claimed their rightful place on the world stage. The legacy of these movements is complex and multifaceted. While the ideals of liberty, equality, and self-determination continue to inspire, the challenges of achieving these goals remain. The struggle to overcome the legacies of colonialism, to forge just and equitable societies, and to navigate the complexities of the global order continues to shape the destiny of Latin America. From the vibrant cultures and diverse landscapes of the region to the enduring spirit of its people, Latin America stands as a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, the unwavering pursuit of freedom, and the enduring legacy of those who dared to dream of a better future. While the narratives of Latin American independence often spotlight the male heroes, the contributions of women were equally vital, yet frequently overlooked. These women were not mere bystanders, they were active participants, strategists, and warriors in the fight for freedom. Throughout Latin America, women like Manuela Sáenz, who supported Simón Bolívar and fought alongside him, and Juana Azurduy, who led troops into battle in Bolivia, played crucial roles in the struggle for independence. These women defied the societal norms of their time, demonstrating immense courage and resilience. In Mexico, Leona Vicario used her wealth and influence to support the insurgent cause, becoming one of the most important figures in the Mexican War of Independence. Her efforts in intelligence and financing were pivotal to the insurgents' success. Moreover, women participated in the independence movements, not only by taking up arms but also through acts of resistance, espionage, and providing essential support services. They were the unsung heroines who risked their lives to ensure the success of their cause. The recognition of these women's contributions is essential in understanding the full scope of the independence movements. Their bravery and determination continue to inspire future generations, highlighting the indispensable role of women in shaping the history and future of Latin America. Their stories serve as a powerful reminder that the fight for freedom and equality is a collective effort, transcending gender and societal boundaries, and that true independence is achieved only when all voices are heard and acknowledged. As the dust settled on the battlefields and the cries for freedom echoed into history, Latin America faced a new challenge: economic stability. The newly independent nations had to navigate an uncertain economic landscape, transitioning from colonial economies designed to benefit European powers to self-sustained autonomous systems. The colonial period had left deep economic scars. The extraction-based economies, heavily reliant on mining and monoculture plantations, needed significant restructuring. Countries like Mexico and Peru, which had been centers of silver mining, struggled to diversify their economies. The collapse of the colonial trade networks meant that these nations had to establish new trade relationships, often under less favorable terms. Independence also brought about the redistribution of land and resources. In many regions, the large estates of the colonial elites were broken up, aiming to provide land to the broader population. However, this process was fraught with challenges, including resistance from the former colonial aristocracy and the logistical difficulties of land reform. Additionally, the wars of independence had left many countries with significant debts. Financing the prolonged conflicts had drained treasuries, leading to economic instability and hyperinflation. The need to rebuild infrastructure and establish new governance systems further strained the fragile economies. Despite these challenges, the newly independent nations showed remarkable resilience. Efforts to promote industrialization, though slow and uneven, began to take root. The rise of local industries and the gradual integration into global markets marked the first steps toward economic independence. The economic impacts of independence were complex and multifaceted, shaping the development of Latin American nations for decades to come. Understanding these economic struggles is crucial to comprehending the broader narrative of Latin American independence. It highlights the enduring spirit of these nations and their relentless pursuit of stability and prosperity in the face of adversity. The economic transformations post-independence were not just about survival but also about redefining national identities and creating pathways for future growth. The legacy of these changes continues to influence the economic landscapes of Latin America today, reminding us that independence was not just a political victory, but also an ongoing economic journey. Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a super interesting time in Latin American history, the cultural boom after they kicked out the colonizers. Imagine this, after centuries of being told what to do and how to live, these countries were finally free. But winning freedom wasn't just about battles and treaties, it was about something deeper, finding their own identity. With the colonizers gone, Latin Americans could finally celebrate their own thing. Indigenous cultures, which had been pushed aside for so long, started thriving again. Think Aztec and Maya traditions coming back strong in Mexico, making everyone super proud of their roots. Music, dancing, art, everything got a fresh coat of cultural paint, blending the old with the new. And it wasn't just about parties and festivals. Writers and thinkers like Simón Bolívar, the freedom fighter himself, used their words to inspire people and shape a new way of thinking. Guys like José Martí in Cuba and Andrés Bello in Venezuela wrote about the struggles and dreams of their people, capturing the spirit of Latin America in their books and poems. Even art went through a major makeover. Painters decided to ditch the European style and started showing everyday life, indigenous stories, and the amazing landscapes of their homelands. Think Diego Rivera's murals in Mexico, huge, colorful celebrations of Mexican history and indigenous pride. But wait, there's more. Remember all those old stories and crafts? Well, they became cool again. People dusted off their grandma's weaving techniques and pottery skills, keeping those traditions alive and even giving them a modern twist. It was like mixing your favorite vintage clothes with a brand new outfit, super stylish. Of course, all this change wasn't always easy. Figuring out how to honor old traditions while embracing new ideas was a tough balancing act. But Latin Americans are nothing if not resilient. They took all those challenges in stride and created a vibrant cultural mix that's still going strong today. This cultural revival was like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It was about rediscovering who they were and showing the world what they were made of. This period wasn't just about making Latin American culture stronger, it was about adding their unique voices to the global chorus. So next time you hear about Latin American culture, remember this, it's a vibrant mix of history, struggle, and creativity. It's about celebrating your roots and never being afraid to embrace who you are. As Latin American nations were forging their newfound identities and celebrating their cultural renaissances, they were not entirely free from external influences and interventions. Foreign powers, particularly European countries and the United States, continued to play significant roles in the region's political and economic landscapes. In the early 19th century, European powers like Britain, France, and Spain had vested interests in Latin America. Despite losing their colonies, Spain tried to maintain influence, while Britain saw an opportunity to expand its economic reach through trade agreements and investments. France, under Napoleon III, even attempted to establish a monarchy in Mexico by installing Maximilian I as emperor, a move that ultimately failed but left a lasting impact. The Monroe Doctrine, proclaimed by the United States in 1823, declared that any further attempts by European nations to colonize or interfere in the Americas would be seen as acts of aggression. However, this policy also marked the beginning of significant U.S. involvement in Latin American affairs. The U.S. saw itself as the protector of the Western Hemisphere, often intervening under the guise of safeguarding democracy and stability. One of the most notable examples of U.S. intervention was the Spanish-American War in 1898, which resulted in the U.S. taking control of former Spanish colonies like Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines, and establishing a strong influence over Cuba. This interventionist approach extended into the 20th century with the implementation of policies like the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, which justified American intervention in Latin American nations to prevent European involvement. Foreign powers were not only interested in political control, but also in economic dominance. European and American companies invested heavily in Latin American resources, from mining and agriculture to railroads and banking. While these investments brought modernization and infrastructure development, they also led to economic dependency and exploitation, often benefiting foreign interests more than the local populations. The influence of foreign powers in Latin America was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it brought technological advancements and economic opportunities. On the other, it perpetuated economic inequalities and political instability. Latin American leaders had to navigate these complex relationships, striving to assert their sovereignty while managing the pressures of foreign intervention. Despite these challenges, Latin America continued to resist and adapt, drawing on its rich cultural heritage and resilient spirit. The struggle for true independence was ongoing as nations sought to break free from the shadows of foreign influence and forge their own paths. Understanding the role of foreign powers in Latin America's history helps us appreciate the region's enduring quest for autonomy and self-determination. It's a reminder that independence is not just about casting off colonial rule, but also about navigating the intricate web of international relations and asserting one's place in the world. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the dynamic and multifaceted history of Latin America, a region that has always been much more than the sum of its parts. As we reflect on the rich tapestry of Latin American history, it becomes evident that the echoes of the past continue to resonate in the present. The independence movements that once sought to break free from colonial chains have evolved, finding new expressions in contemporary struggles for justice, equality, and true sovereignty. Today, Latin America faces a myriad of challenges, from political corruption and economic disparity to social injustices and environmental degradation. These issues may seem distinct from the battles fought centuries ago, but at their core, they are part of the same quest for autonomy and self-determination. Modern movements across the region draw inspiration from the heroes of independence. In countries like Venezuela, Bolivia, and Chile, citizens rally against oppressive regimes and demand their rights, much like their ancestors did. The spirit of leaders like Simón Bolívar and José de San Martín lives on in the hearts of activists who seek to build a better future for their nations. Environmental activism has also become a powerful force in Latin America. Indigenous communities, often on the front lines of these movements, fight to protect their lands from exploitation and environmental destruction. Their struggle echoes the resistance against foreign powers that once sought to control and exploit the region's vast resources. Economic independence remains a critical issue. While globalization has brought opportunities, it has also led to new forms of dependency and inequality. Latin American countries strive to balance integration into the global economy with the need to protect their own economic sovereignty. The lessons from the past remind us that true independence is not just political, but also economic and social. In the realm of culture, a renaissance continues to flourish. Latin American artists, writers, and musicians draw from their rich heritage to create works that speak to both historical and contemporary experiences. This cultural vibrancy is a testament to the enduring spirit of resilience and creativity that has always defined the region. As we connect the threads of history to the present, we see that the journey towards independence is ongoing. The challenges may have changed, but the underlying principles of justice, equality, and self-determination remain steadfast. Latin America's story is one of continuous transformation, where each generation builds upon the legacy of those who came before. Understanding the modern reflections on independence allows us to appreciate the dynamic and ever-evolving nature of this region. It reminds us that the fight for freedom and dignity is a timeless endeavor, one that requires constant vigilance and unwavering commitment. Join us as we continue to explore the profound. The dawn of the 19th century saw the United States, still in its infancy, grappling with the realities of a volatile world. Thomas Jefferson, the newly elected third president, envisioned a nation of farmers, living in peace and pursuing prosperity. However, the realities of international politics, particularly the predatory actions of Barbary pirates and the simmering tensions with Great Britain, presented significant challenges to Jefferson's vision. The young nation, eager to establish itself on the world stage, found itself caught in a web of international intrigue and conflict, testing its resolve and shaping its destiny. Jefferson's presidency, which began in 1801, marked a departure from the Federalist policies of his predecessors, George Washington and John Adams. Unlike the Federalists, who favored a strong central government and close ties with Great Britain, Jefferson and his Democratic Republican Party advocated for limited government, states' rights, and a more agrarian society. This shift in political ideology had profound implications for the nation's foreign policy, particularly its approach to dealing with European powers. The Jeffersonian era, spanning from 1801 to 1825, was a time of immense transformation and upheaval for the United States. It was a period marked by both significant achievements, such as the Louisiana Purchase, and daunting challenges, including the looming threat of war with Great Britain. The nation's mettle was tested on multiple fronts, from the shores of Tripoli to the battlefields of the Northwest Territory, forcing Americans to confront difficult questions about their place in the world and the principles they were willing to fight for. As the United States navigated the treacherous waters of international diplomacy and conflict, it did so with a growing sense of national identity and purpose. The trials and tribulations of the Jeffersonian era, while formidable, ultimately served to strengthen the young republic, laying the groundwork for its emergence as a major power on the world stage. For centuries, the Barbary states of North Africa, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, and Morocco, had terrorized the Mediterranean Sea, preying on merchant ships and demanding tribute from nations seeking safe passage for their vessels. European powers, accustomed to this practice, routinely paid exorbitant sums to secure their shipping lanes. However, the newly independent United States, with its principles of free trade and maritime neutrality, refused to be held hostage by these predatory practices. The Barbary pirates, emboldened by their past successes, viewed the young American Republic as an easy target. They seized American ships and held their crews hostage, demanding hefty ransoms for their release. These acts of piracy not only disrupted American commerce but also represented a direct challenge to the sovereignty of the United States. Refusing to bow to extortion, Jefferson adopted a bolder approach, dispatching the fledgling United States Navy to the Mediterranean. The ensuing First Barbary War, from 1801 to 1805, marked a defining moment in American history. It demonstrated the young nation's resolve to defend its interests and uphold its principles on the world stage. The American naval forces, though small in size, proved to be a formidable adversary. They engaged in daring raids, blockaded enemy ports, and even launched a daring land assault on Tripoli, led by the legendary Lieutenant Presley O'Bannon. The war, while costly and protracted, ultimately culminated in a hard-fought victory for the United States, securing the release of American hostages and significantly reducing the threat of Barbary piracy. While the United States grappled with the challenges posed by Barbary piracy, a far greater threat loomed on the horizon: renewed conflict with Great Britain. The Napoleonic Wars, which had engulfed Europe in a bloody conflict, had a profound impact on the United States, entangling the young nation in a web of diplomatic disputes and maritime confrontations. One of the most contentious issues between the United States and Great Britain was the practice of impressment. The British Royal Navy, facing a shortage of manpower, resorted to forcibly conscripting sailors from American merchant ships, claiming them as British deserters. This practice, often carried out with brutality and disregard for American sovereignty, deeply angered the American public and fueled anti-British sentiment. The Chesapeake Leopard affair of 1807 brought the two nations to the brink of war. A British warship, the HMS Leopard, stopped the American frigate USS Chesapeake off the coast of Virginia, demanding to search for British deserters. When the American captain refused, the Leopard opened fire, killing 3 American sailors and wounding 18 others. The Chesapeake, caught off guard, was forced to surrender. This act of aggression sent shockwaves through the United States. Public outrage over the Chesapeake incident was palpable, with many Americans demanding war against Great Britain. Jefferson, however, ever the pragmatist, sought a diplomatic solution, hoping to avoid a costly conflict that could jeopardize the young nation's survival. As tensions escalated with Great Britain, the United States also faced growing unrest on its western frontier. Native American tribes, resisting the relentless westward expansion of American settlers, found themselves increasingly caught in the crossfire between the United States and Great Britain. The British, eager to thwart American ambitions and undermine their rivals, provided arms and support to Native American tribes, fueling resistance and exacerbating tensions on the frontier. The vast Northwest Territory, encompassing present-day Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin, became a battleground for control and influence. Native American leaders such as Tecumseh, a Shawnee chief, recognized the existential threat posed by American expansion and sought to unite disparate tribes into a powerful confederacy to resist encroachment. Tecumseh's efforts to forge a pan-Indian alliance alarmed American authorities, who viewed such a development as a direct threat to their territorial ambitions. Governor William Henry Harrison of the Indiana Territory, a staunch advocate for westward expansion, clashed repeatedly with Tecumseh and his followers, culminating in the pivotal Battle of Tippecanoe in 1811. The escalating violence on the frontier further inflamed tensions between the United States and Great Britain. Many Americans, particularly those in the West and South, blamed British interference for inciting Native American resistance and called for war to assert American dominance and secure the frontier. The War of 1812, when it finally erupted, would be fought on two fronts, against the British on the high seas and against their Native American allies in the vast wilderness of North America. Gap 3S. As the United States grappled with conflicts on its frontier and mounting tensions with Great Britain, a monumental acquisition was quietly reshaping the nation's destiny. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson orchestrated the Louisiana Purchase, a deal that doubled the size of the United States overnight. For a sum of $15 million, the U.S. acquired an immense swath of land from France, stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains and from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border. Gap 2S. The Louisiana Purchase had profound implications for the young nation. It provided vast new territories for settlement and exploration, fueling the American spirit of expansion and manifest destiny. The acquisition also secured American control over the critical port of New Orleans, ensuring unimpeded access to the Mississippi River and bolstering the nation's economic prospects. Gap 2S. However, the purchase was not without its challenges and controversies. The vast, uncharted territory presented logistical and political dilemmas, as American leaders grappled with questions of governance, land distribution, and the status of Native American inhabitants. The Lewis and Clark expedition, commissioned by Jefferson, embarked on a perilous journey to map and explore the new lands, forging paths that would later be followed by waves of settlers. Gap 2S. The Louisiana Purchase also intensified debates over slavery, as the nation grappled with whether new territories would be free or slaveholding. This question would sow seeds of division that would ultimately culminate in the Civil War. Gap 2S. Despite these complexities, the Louisiana Purchase remains a landmark in American history, a bold stroke that cemented Thomas Jefferson's legacy and set the stage for the nation's westward expansion. It was a testament to the ambition and vision that defined the early republic, even as it foreshadowed the turbulent times that lay ahead. Gap 2S. As the United States stood on the brink of war with Great Britain, the vast new lands acquired through the Louisiana Purchase beckoned with promise and peril, shaping the nation's trajectory in ways both immediate and enduring. Gap 3S. Amidst the backdrop of the monumental Louisiana Purchase, President Thomas Jefferson commissioned an ambitious expedition to explore the vast, uncharted territories acquired from France. This journey, known as the Lewis and Clark Expedition, would become one of the most legendary explorations in American history. Gap 2S. In 1804, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark set out on a perilous journey with the Corps of Discovery, a group of skilled men tasked with mapping the new lands, establishing trade with Native American tribes, and documenting the flora and fauna of the expansive region. Their mission was not only to chart the unknown, but also to find a practical route to the Pacific Ocean. Gap 2S. The expedition faced numerous challenges, from treacherous river crossings and harsh weather conditions, to encounters with diverse Native American tribes. Yet, it was through these interactions that Lewis and Clark forged crucial alliances and gained invaluable knowledge about the land and its inhabitants. The assistance of Sacagawea, a Shoshone woman who served as their guide and translator, proved instrumental in navigating the complex terrain and fostering goodwill with indigenous peoples. Gap 2S. The journey of Lewis and Clark lasted over 2 years, stretching across thousands of miles from St. Louis to the Pacific coast. Their detailed journals and maps provided a wealth of information that would pave the way for future explorers and settlers. They documented over 300 new species of plants and animals, and their observations laid the groundwork for America's scientific understanding of the West. Gap 2S. The significance of the Lewis and Clark expedition extended beyond its immediate discoveries. It ignited the nation's imagination and fueled the spirit of westward expansion, embodying the ideals of exploration and manifest destiny that would define the American ethos. The expedition also highlighted the complexities of American-Indian relations, foreshadowing the challenges that would arise as settlers moved westward. Gap 2S. As the United States grappled with the implications of the Louisiana Purchase and the looming conflict with Great Britain, the legacy of the Lewis and Clark expedition stood as a testament to human curiosity, resilience, and the enduring quest to explore the unknown. It was a journey that not only expanded the geographical boundaries of the nation, but also the horizons of its people, setting the stage for the next chapter in America's unfolding story. Gap 3S. As the United States continued to navigate the turbulent waters of international politics and westward expansion, President Thomas Jefferson faced a new and formidable challenge: the escalating conflict between Britain and France. Both European powers sought to restrict American trade with the other, leading to repeated violations of U.S. neutrality. In response, Jefferson decided to take a drastic measure. Gap 2S. In December 1807, Congress passed the Embargo Act, a sweeping piece of legislation that aimed to pressure Britain and France by prohibiting American ships from trading with foreign ports. Jefferson hoped that this economic weapon would force the warring nations to respect American neutrality and maritime rights without resorting to war. Gap 2S. However, the Embargo Act had unintended and profound consequences on the American economy. The cessation of foreign trade hit the nation's merchants, shipbuilders, and port cities hard. Exports plummeted, leading to widespread unemployment and financial distress. The agricultural sector suffered as surplus crops rotted without markets, and the overall economic stagnation sparked discontent among citizens. Gap 2S. The embargo also gave rise to smuggling as desperate merchants sought to bypass the restrictions and maintain their livelihoods. Coastal towns experienced a surge in illicit trade, and enforcement of the embargo became increasingly difficult and unpopular. The economic downturn strained Jefferson's popularity and led to growing opposition from both Federalists and Democratic Republicans who saw the policy as an overreach of executive power. Gap 2S. Recognizing the mounting discontent and the failure of the embargo to achieve its intended diplomatic goals, Congress repealed the Embargo Act in March 1809, shortly before Jefferson left office. It was replaced with the Non-Intercourse Act, which allowed trade with nations other than Britain and France, but the damage to the economy and Jefferson's legacy had already been done. Gap 2S. The Embargo Act of 1807 serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities and risks of using economic sanctions as a tool of foreign policy. While it aimed to assert American sovereignty and protect national interests, it instead revealed the vulnerabilities of a young nation's economy and the unintended consequences of sweeping legislative actions. Gap 2S. This episode in American history underscores the challenges that leaders face in balancing domestic well-being with international diplomacy, a balancing act that continues to resonate through the corridors of power to this day. Gap 2S. As the United States emerged from the economic turmoil of the Embargo Act, the nation found itself on the brink of another conflict. Tensions with Britain continued to escalate, fueled by ongoing impressment of American sailors, restrictions on U.S. trade, and British support for Native American resistance against American expansion. These issues, combined with a desire to assert national honor and sovereignty, led President James Madison to ask Congress for a declaration of war. On June 18, 1812, the United States officially entered what would become known as the War of 1812. Gap 2S. The war was marked by a series of fierce battles on land and sea. American forces faced early setbacks, including the burning of Washington, D.C. by British troops in 1814. However, significant victories, such as the defense of Fort McHenry, which inspired Francis Scott Key to write The Star-Spangled Banner, and the decisive Battle of New Orleans led by General Andrew Jackson, bolstered American morale and national pride. Gap 2S. The war also had profound effects on Native American tribes. Many tribes had allied with the British in hopes of curbing American expansion, but the defeat of Tecumseh's Confederacy and subsequent battles resulted in significant loss of land and power for Native Americans. Gap 2S. The Treaty of Ghent, signed on December 24, 1814, effectively ended the war. While the treaty largely restored pre-war boundaries and did not address the issues of impressment or neutral trading rights, it marked the beginning of a lasting peace between the United States and Britain. The war also had lasting domestic impacts. fostering a sense of national unity and identity, and paving the way for the era of good feelings under President James Monroe. Gap 2S. The War of 1812 demonstrated the resilience and determination of the young American nation. It highlighted the complexities of international diplomacy, the sacrifices of those who fought, and the enduring quest for national sovereignty. Gap 2S. As the United States continued to grow and evolve, the lessons learned from this conflict would shape its future policies and its place on the world stage. Gap 2S. The War of 1812 remains a pivotal chapter in American history, reminding us of the trials and triumphs that have defined the nation's journey. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of a country striving to forge its own path, even in the face of formidable challenges. Gap 2S. As we reflect on this era, we are reminded of the enduring importance of resilience, unity, and the pursuit of peace in shaping the destiny of a nation. Our Gap 2S. As the dust settled from the War of 1812, the United States entered a period known as the Era of Good Feelings. This era, marked by a sense of national unity and political harmony, began with the presidency of James Monroe in 1817. Monroe's leadership saw the decline of the Federalist Party, leaving the Democratic-Republican Party as the dominant political force. This period was characterized by a spirit of optimism and a focus on internal improvements and westward expansion. Gap 2S. One of the key aspects of Monroe's presidency was his commitment to strengthening the nation's infrastructure and economy. The construction of roads, canals, and other public works projects facilitated trade and communication, helping to bind the young nation together. Additionally, the establishment of the Second Bank of the United States aimed to stabilize the economy and provide a uniform currency, further promoting economic growth. Gap 2S. However, the era of good feelings was not without its challenges. Regional tensions and economic disparities persisted, and debates over issues such as slavery and states' rights continued to simmer beneath the surface. Despite these underlying tensions, the period was marked by a general sense of national purpose and progress. Gap 2S. One of the most significant legacies of Monroe's presidency was the Monroe Doctrine, articulated in 1823. Faced with growing European interest in the newly independent nations of Latin America, Monroe issued a bold declaration asserting that the Western Hemisphere was no longer open to European colonization. The Monroe Doctrine proclaimed that any attempt by European powers to interfere in the affairs of the Americas would be viewed as an act of aggression against the United States. Gap 2S. The Monroe Doctrine had profound implications for American foreign policy. It established the United States as a protector of the Western Hemisphere, and laid the groundwork for future American intervention in regional affairs. While the doctrine was initially met with skepticism by European powers, it would become a cornerstone of U.S. policy in the Americas, and a symbol of the nation's growing influence on the world stage. Gap 2S. The era of good feelings and the Monroe Doctrine represent a pivotal moment in American history. This period of relative peace and prosperity allowed the United States to focus on its internal development and assert its presence on the international stage. It was a time of hope and ambition, as the young nation sought to define its identity and place in the world. Gap 2S. As we look back on this era, we are reminded of the power of unity and vision in shaping the destiny of a nation. The lessons learned during the era of good feelings and the principles embodied in the Monroe Doctrine continue to resonate, reminding us of the enduring importance of resilience, sovereignty, and the pursuit of progress. Gap 2S. In the grand tapestry of American history, the era of good feelings and the Monroe Doctrine stand as testaments to the nation's enduring spirit and its unwavering commitment to forging its own path. Gap 2S. As we reflect on this chapter, we are inspired to carry forward the legacy of unity and determination that has defined America's journey, and to
Philanthropy has always played a vital role in American society. From the earliest days of the Republic, individuals of means have stepped forward to support their communities. These acts of generosity, both large and small, have helped to shape the nation we know today. Philanthropy, at its core, is about recognizing the interconnectedness of humanity. It is about recognizing that we have a shared responsibility to uplift those in need and create a more just and equitable society for all. Throughout American history, philanthropy has been a powerful force for positive change. It has funded the creation of hospitals, schools and libraries, expanding access to essential services for countless individuals. Philanthropic efforts have supported groundbreaking research leading to advancements in medicine, science and technology. Moreover, philanthropy has been instrumental in advocating for social justice, fighting discrimination and empowering marginalized communities. The impact of philanthropy is perhaps most evident in times of crisis. When natural disasters strike, economic downturns grip the nation, or public health emergencies arise, philanthropists have consistently been among the first to respond. They provide immediate relief to those affected, offering food, shelter and medical assistance. Beyond these immediate needs, philanthropy also plays a crucial role in long-term recovery efforts. Philanthropic organizations help communities rebuild, support economic revitalization, and address the underlying issues that may have exacerbated the crisis. The enduring legacy of philanthropy lies not only in the tangible resources it provides, but also in the hope and opportunity it inspires. By investing in our communities and supporting those in need, philanthropy strengthens the fabric of society and creates a brighter future for generations to come. The Gilded Age, spanning roughly from the 1870s to the early 1900s, was a period of immense transformation in the United States. It was a time of rapid industrialization, urbanization, and technological advancement. It was also a time of great social and economic upheaval, marked by a widening gap between the rich and the poor, and the arrival of millions of immigrants seeking new opportunities and a better life. Between 1880 and 1920, over 20 million immigrants arrived in the United States, forever altering the demographic landscape of the nation. This massive influx of people, hailing primarily from southern and eastern Europe, as well as from China and Japan, flocked to urban centers in search of work and a chance to build a better future for themselves and their families. Cities like New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago, and San Francisco experienced explosive growth during this period. The arrival of these immigrants brought with it a rich tapestry of cultures, languages, and traditions, enriching the social fabric of American society. However, it also led to challenges as cities struggled to accommodate the needs of their rapidly growing populations. Housing shortages, inadequate sanitation, and poverty became widespread in many urban areas. The influx of immigrants also had a profound impact on the labor market. The abundance of cheap labor fueled the growth of factories and industries, but it also led to exploitation and the rise of powerful industrialists who amassed vast fortunes on the backs of their workers. This period of rapid economic growth and social change laid bare the stark inequalities that existed in American society. The Gilded Age witnessed the rise of powerful industrialists and corporations, but it also saw the emergence of a burgeoning labor movement as workers began to organize and fight for better working conditions, fair wages, and an end to exploitation. The Industrial Revolution had brought about significant changes in the way goods were produced. Factories powered by steam and electricity replaced small workshops, and mass production became the norm. While these technological advancements led to increased efficiency and productivity, they also created a new class of industrial workers who often faced harsh working conditions and low wages. Workers, including women and children, toiled for long hours in dangerous factories and mines, often for meager pay. They had little job security, no benefits, and were subject to the whims of their employers. The plight of these workers, combined with the growing disparity between the rich and the poor, fueled the growth of labor unions. Organizations such as the Knights of Labor and the American Federation of Labor emerged, advocating for workers' rights and seeking to improve their lives through collective bargaining and, if necessary, strikes. These early labor movements faced significant challenges. They were often met with hostility from employers who used their wealth and influence to suppress union activity. The government, often sympathetic to the interests of business owners, was slow to enact laws protecting workers' rights. Despite these obstacles, the labor movement gained momentum throughout the Gilded Age, laying the groundwork for future victories in the decades to come. The struggle for workers' rights would continue well into the 20th century, but the seeds of change were sown during this pivotal period. The Gilded Age, a term coined by Mark Twain, was a time of stark contrasts. While the nation experienced unprecedented economic growth and technological innovation, it was also a period of widening inequality. The gap between the rich and the poor grew exponentially as a small elite amassed unimaginable wealth, while millions of Americans struggled to make ends meet. The opulence and extravagance of the Gilded Age's upper class were on full display in cities like New York, where lavish mansions lined Fifth Avenue and society balls were the talk of the town. The Vanderbilts, Astors, and Carnegies, titans of industry and finance, became symbols of the era's excesses. Their immense fortunes, often built on the backs of low-wage workers, allowed them to live lives of unparalleled luxury. However, beneath the glittering surface of Gilded Age society lay a much darker reality. Poverty was rampant in both urban and rural areas. In cities, overcrowded slums teeming with recent immigrants stood in stark contrast to the opulent mansions of the wealthy. These tenements, often lacking basic amenities like running water and proper sanitation, became breeding grounds for disease and despair. The plight of the urban poor was mirrored in rural America, where farmers faced declining crop prices, rising debt and exploitation at the hands of railroads and banks. The Gilded Age's laissez-faire economic policies, which favored minimal government intervention in business and the economy, exacerbated these inequalities. The belief that the wealthy were inherently more deserving of their fortunes, while the poor were simply lazy or lacking in moral character, permeated society. Section 5. A beacon of hope. The rise of settlement houses and social reform. Amidst the stark inequalities and social problems of the Gilded Age, a spirit of reform began to emerge. Concerned citizens, many of them young, educated women from middle and upper-class backgrounds, were moved by the plight of the poor and sought to make a difference. They believed that everyone, regardless of their social standing, deserved a chance at a better life. One of the most significant developments in social reform during this period was the rise of settlement houses. These institutions, established in poor, often immigrant-heavy neighborhoods, aimed to bridge the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged. Settlement houses provided a wide range of services, including daycare for working mothers, education and job training, healthcare, and legal aid. Jane Addams' Hull House in Chicago, founded in 1889, became a model for settlement houses across the country. These institutions not only provided essential services but also served as centers for social and cultural exchange. They offered classes in English, art, music, and drama, fostering a sense of community and belonging among new immigrants. The settlement house movement also played a crucial role in advocating for social justice and policy reforms. Settlement house workers, living and working alongside the poor, witnessed firsthand the challenges they faced. They documented the deplorable living conditions in slums, exposed labor abuses in factories, and advocated for government intervention to address these issues. Section 6. The Power of Collective Action, Progressive Era Reforms and Activism. The Progressive Era, which emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, was a period of significant social and political reform in the United States. It was a direct response to the excesses and inequalities of the Gilded Age, as well as the growing awareness of social problems brought to light by journalists, writers, and reformers known as muckrakers. Progressives came from all walks of life, united by their belief in the power of government to address social ills and improve the lives of ordinary citizens. They sought to address a wide range of issues, including poverty, child labor, unsafe working conditions, political corruption, and the lack of women's suffrage. The Progressive Era witnessed a wave of legislation aimed at addressing these problems. At the federal level, landmark laws were passed, including the Pure Food and Drug Act, which regulated the safety of food and medicine, and the Hepburn Act, which strengthened the Interstate Commerce Commission's ability to regulate railroads. The 16th Amendment, ratified in 1913, established a federal income tax, providing the government with a new source of revenue to fund social programs. The 17th Amendment, ratified in 1913, mandated the direct election of senators, giving citizens a greater voice in their government. Section 7. From Gilded Age to Modern Day, a legacy of philanthropic impact. The Gilded Age and the Progressive Era left an indelible mark on American society, shaping the nation's approach to social welfare, labor rights, and the role of government. The philanthropic spirit that emerged during this time, fueled by a sense of social responsibility and a desire to create a more just and equitable society, continues to inspire and guide philanthropic efforts today. The lessons learned from this transformative period in American history remain relevant in the 21st century. The challenges of poverty, inequality, and social injustice persist, though they may manifest in different ways. The need for compassion, generosity, and a commitment to social justice is as urgent as ever. Today, philanthropy continues to play a vital role in addressing pressing social problems. From supporting education and healthcare initiatives to combating climate change and promoting peace and understanding, philanthropists are at the forefront of efforts to create a better world. Modern-day philanthropists are drawing inspiration from the Gilded Age and the Progressive Era, recognizing the importance of addressing the root causes of social problems and working to empower marginalized communities. They are also embracing innovative approaches to philanthropy, leveraging technology, and collaborating across sectors to maximize their impact. The legacy of the Gilded Age and the Progressive Era serves as a powerful reminder that change is possible. It is a testament to the power of collective action, the importance of speaking out against injustice, and the enduring impact of philanthropy in shaping a more just and equitable future. Gap 3, Sir, the role of women in philanthropy. This chapter explores the significant contributions of women in the philanthropic efforts during the Gilded Age, highlighting key figures and their impact. Narrator. As we reflect on the philanthropic legacy of the Gilded Age, it is impossible to overlook the pivotal role women played in shaping social reform and charitable efforts. Despite societal constraints, many women emerged as powerful agents of change, channeling their resources and influence to address the pressing issues of their time. Gap 1. One such figure was Jane Addams, who co-founded the Hull House in Chicago. Addams's work provided crucial support to immigrants and the poor, offering educational programs, healthcare services, and a safe haven for those in need. Her tireless dedication to social justice laid the groundwork for many modern social services. Gap 2S. Another notable woman was Lillian Wald, the founder of the Henry Street Settlement in New York. Wald's commitment to public health and her pioneering efforts in community nursing transformed the lives of countless individuals in impoverished neighborhoods. Her legacy continues to inspire public health initiatives today. Gap 2A. Additionally, women like Margaret Olivia Slocum Sage used their wealth to fund educational institutions and support scientific research. Sage's philanthropy extended to various causes, including women's rights and social welfare, demonstrating the diverse impact of women's contributions. Gap 2S. These women and many others not only provided immediate relief to those in need, but also advocated for systemic changes that would benefit future generations. Their efforts underscore the importance of inclusive philanthropy and the powerful role women have played, and continue to play, in driving social progress. Gap 2S. As we move forward, let us draw inspiration from these trailblazing women and continue to support and uplift the voices of all who strive to create a more just and equitable world. Gap 2S. The enduring impact of women's philanthropy reminds us that true progress is achieved not through individual efforts alone, but through the collective power of diverse and inclusive communities. Gap 2S. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history, and for embracing the spirit of giving that continues to shape our world for the better. As we delve further into the Gilded Age, it becomes evident that technological advancements played a pivotal role in shaping philanthropic activities and social reforms. The rapid industrialization and technological innovations of the era not only transformed the economy, but also created new avenues for charitable endeavors and social progress. During this period, the expansion of the railroad network facilitated the distribution of goods and resources, making it easier for philanthropic organizations to reach remote and underserved communities. This connectivity allowed for more efficient delivery of aid and support, enhancing the impact of charitable efforts. Moreover, advancements in communication technology, such as the telegraph and telephone, revolutionized the way information was shared. Philanthropists could now coordinate their efforts more effectively, mobilizing resources and support for various causes with unprecedented speed and efficiency. The rise of new media, including newspapers and magazines, also played a crucial role in raising awareness about social issues. Journalists and reformers used these platforms to highlight the plight of the poor and advocate for change, galvanizing public support for philanthropic initiatives. In the realm of education, technological advancements paved the way for innovative approaches to learning and skill development. Philanthropists funded the establishment of technical schools and libraries, providing individuals with the tools and knowledge needed to improve their lives and contribute to society. Furthermore, breakthroughs in medical science and public health were instrumental in addressing pressing social issues. Philanthropic funding supported research and the establishment of hospitals, leading to improved healthcare and better living conditions for many. As we reflect on the interplay between technology and philanthropy during the Gilded Age, it becomes clear that innovation was not just a driver of economic growth, but also a catalyst for social change. The contributions of visionary philanthropists, coupled with the transformative power of technology, laid the foundation for a more equitable and compassionate society. Let us continue to harness the potential of technological advancements to address the challenges of our time, ensuring that progress benefits all members of our global community. Together we can build a future where the spirit of giving and innovation go hand in hand, creating a world that is just, inclusive, and full of opportunity for all. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of history, and for being part of the ongoing journey towards a brighter and more equitable future. In the tapestry of social reform and charitable endeavors, art has always held a unique and transformative power. The intersection of art and philanthropy during the Gilded Age and beyond reveals how creative expression became a potent medium for social change. Artists and philanthropists recognized the potential of art to inspire, educate, and mobilize communities. They used paintings, sculptures, literature, and performances to highlight social issues and advocate for reform. Art galleries and exhibitions funded by philanthropists became platforms for raising awareness about poverty, inequality, and other pressing societal concerns. One notable example is the Ashcan School of Art, which emerged in the early 20th century. These artists depicted the gritty realities of urban life, drawing attention to the struggles of the working class and the poor. Their work resonated with audiences and sparked conversations about the need for social justice and reform. Philanthropists also supported the creation of public art projects, making art accessible to all. Muralists, for instance, painted large-scale works in public spaces, transforming cityscapes and bringing art into the daily lives of ordinary people. These murals often depicted themes of unity, resilience, and hope, reinforcing the idea that art could be a force for positive change. In addition to visual arts, the performing arts played a significant role in philanthropy. Theatre productions, music concerts, and dance performances were used to raise funds for charitable causes and to draw attention to social issues. These events not only provided entertainment, but also served as powerful tools for advocacy and community engagement. Literature, too, became a vehicle for social change. Writers like Upton Sinclair and Jacob Riis used their works to expose the harsh realities of industrial society and to call for reform. Their books reached a wide audience, influencing public opinion and inspiring philanthropic action. As we reflect on the intersection of art and philanthropy, it is clear that creative expression has the power to transcend boundaries and touch the hearts and minds of people. Art can illuminate the human condition, fostering empathy and understanding, and ultimately driving social progress. Today, the legacy of art as a catalyst for change continues. Artists and philanthropists collaborate to address contemporary issues, using their talents and resources to create a more just and equitable world. By supporting the arts, we not only enrich our cultural landscape, but also contribute to the ongoing fight for social justice and human dignity. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the powerful synergy between art and philanthropy. Together, let us celebrate the artists and visionaries who use their creative gifts to make the world a better place, and let us be inspired to support and champion their efforts. As we journey through the annals of history, the Gilded Age stands out not only for its economic disparities, but also for its transformative impact on education. Philanthropy played a crucial role in the development of educational institutions and the promotion of literacy during this era, laying the foundation for a more educated and enlightened society. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw an unprecedented wave of philanthropic efforts directed towards education. Wealthy industrialists and visionaries such as Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller recognized the power of education to uplift individuals and communities. They invested substantial resources in building schools, colleges, and libraries, creating opportunities for learning and personal growth. Andrew Carnegie, a titan of industry, is perhaps best known for his extensive contributions to the creation of public libraries. Believing that access to knowledge was the key to self-improvement, Carnegie funded the establishment of over 2,500 libraries worldwide. These libraries became beacons of learning, offering free access to books and information for people of all ages and backgrounds. Similarly, John D. Rockefeller's philanthropy had a profound impact on higher education. He established the University of Chicago in 1890, transforming it into a leading institution of research and scholarship. His support extended to other universities and educational initiatives, fostering an environment where intellectual curiosity and academic excellence could thrive. Philanthropy also played a pivotal role in addressing the educational needs of marginalized communities. Schools and colleges specifically for African Americans, such as the Tuskegee Institute founded by Booker T. Washington, received significant support from philanthropists. These institutions provided vital educational opportunities, empowering individuals to overcome barriers and achieve their full potential. In addition to funding institutions, philanthropists championed initiatives to promote literacy and education among the general populace. Programs aimed at reducing illiteracy rates and improving educational access were launched, transforming the lives of countless individuals. These efforts laid the groundwork for a more informed and engaged citizenry capable of contributing meaningfully to society. The legacy of philanthropic impact on education during the Gilded Age continues to resonate today. The institutions and initiatives established during this period have evolved and adapted, continuing to serve as pillars of learning and empowerment. Modern philanthropists build upon this foundation, supporting innovative educational programs and ensuring that the transformative power of education remains accessible to all. As we reflect on the enduring influence of philanthropy in education, let us celebrate the visionaries who recognized the importance of learning and invested in the future. Their contributions have left an indelible mark on society, inspiring generations to pursue knowledge, cultivate empathy, and strive for a better world. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of philanthropy's role in shaping education. Together, let us honor the legacy of these educational pioneers and commit to supporting initiatives that foster learning, growth, and opportunity for all. As we delve deeper into the legacy of philanthropy during the Gilded Age, it becomes evident that the impact of these efforts transcended national borders. The philanthropic visionaries of this era did not confine their generosity to the United States alone. Their initiatives reached far and wide, creating ripples of positive change across the globe. One of the most striking examples of this international reach is the work of Andrew Carnegie. Beyond his contributions to public libraries in America, Carnegie's philanthropy extended to educational and cultural institutions worldwide. He established libraries in countries as diverse as Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand, fostering a global culture of literacy and learning. John D. Rockefeller also demonstrated a commitment to global philanthropy. His support for medical research and public health extended beyond American shores. Through the Rockefeller Foundation, he funded initiatives to combat diseases such as hookworm and yellow fever in regions like Latin America, Asia, and Africa. These efforts not only saved countless lives, but also laid the groundwork for modern public health systems. Philanthropy during the Gilded Age also played a crucial role in supporting international peace and diplomacy. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, founded in 1910, aimed to promote peaceful conflict resolution and foster international cooperation. Its initiatives included funding research on international law, establishing libraries focused on peace studies, and supporting diplomatic efforts to prevent war. Furthermore, the philanthropic impact on education was not limited to the United States. Institutions like the Peking Union Medical College in China, funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, became centers of excellence in medical education and research. These global investments in education and healthcare have had lasting effects, contributing to the development of skilled professionals and improved quality of life in many countries. As we reflect on the global impact of Gilded Age philanthropy, it is clear that the vision and generosity of these industrialists transcended borders. Their contributions have left an enduring legacy, fostering international understanding, improving public health, and promoting education worldwide. In today's interconnected world, the spirit of global philanthropy continues to thrive. Modern philanthropists build on the foundations laid by their predecessors, supporting initiatives that address pressing global challenges and create a more just and equitable world for all. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the global impact of Gilded Age philanthropy. Together, let us celebrate the enduring legacy of these visionaries and commit to supporting initiatives that foster global understanding